This is an interesting colour. Oh, hello everybody. Happy pandemic. That's over now, isn't it? Well, it isn't really, but never mind. We're going to carry on painting, but we're going to do it from the glory of my studio. The inner sanctum, I call it. So come closer. Now, those of you that don't know me, my name's John. I've been in and around the art scene for the last 25 years, something like that, Timoth, that is. Before then, I was based in London. Oh, look, there's old Judy out the window, look. In the yellow. Never mind about that, let's go. She's one of my erstwhile students, a very talented artist. Anyway, we're going to be looking at painting through the world of the lens, with my magic sticks, with my magic hairy sticks. And I'm going to show you some stuff. We're going to start very much back at basics. Those of you who've worked with me before, you'll know all about this, but that's where you're going to start, okay? And I'll talk you through it all. Just have a quick sweep round the camera there, Sam, if you could. Just to look at some of the stuff I do, you know. Oh, and that swish as a nut, hey? That gives you a clue as to what we're going to be doing today down there. Those two pictures, they're sweet, aren't they? Part of the forthcoming exhibition, by the way. Anyway, so, with that, I'll say enough of that nonsense. And to the table, to the table, to the table. Okay, everybody, first picture. Here we go. Now, this is the line drawing. If you can get in there, Sam, see that? Very, 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 very simple. Draw it properly. That's the first rule. Moving into the final picture, you're going to turn that line drawing into that painting. Do you see? So have a long, hard look at these before you start. Now, if you want a really, really sort of concise, detailed picture of that, just click on the link below in the description box and you'll get a really crisp image. Hurrah! Right, now here we are, ready to go. Now I'm just going to talk you around some of the equipment first. Can you see me? Can you? Oh, good, good, good. Nice to hear, nice to hear. I can see you nodding back. Yes, well done everybody. I'm going to start off by explaining the paper. I like to use very thick watercolour paper. See that? Of course you can't, but it is thick, look. The reason I use this is because it doesn't buckle. It soaks up the water and it gives me extra time to work. You'll see this when I'm working. So that's the first thing. My second thing, we're going to paint very simple today, monochrome, just washes. There's a white and a Payne's grey. And these are student calibre, so they won't cost you very much. And they're good enough. For stronger colours, I like to get the artist's quality, which is pricier, but you build that up slowly, then they'll last you a long time. Okay? Today I'm going to just be using basically these three brushes to paint with. A bigger one, a middle one and a little one. It's as simple as that. Okay, I'll put them there like that, nicely in their special place. Do you see? All very nice in their special place. This is my palette, a nice white bit of china. Don't like plastic, don't really like tin, and I like space to mixing. Remember this, your painting's 80% done there, 20% done here. Okay, it's very important. These are fundamental basics, but they're very important. Now, I know a lot of you seen me do all this lots before, but I urge you to, to stick with this and just do this painting as simply as you can. Don't try and depict it exactly. Therein lies the opportunity for multiple error. Okay, you want to keep your errors as simple as possible. The painting, after all, is a series of errors that come together in the end. As I've always said this. 2 rules to remember. What are they? Okay, I'm sure some of you said it. Draw it properly. Paint it nicely. That's it. Okay, now I'm going to get on. Let's go. Well, okay, so here we go. I did mention that I was only going to use 3 brushes. I of course lied. I'm going to use 4, which is this one. Now the reason I'm using this, I don't know if you can see it, it's a completely clean brush. So I'm going to lay my wash on into this area of the painting here, which you've guessed by now, I'm sure, is the sky. Okay, so look, plenty of water going on. Might even pour a little bit. Whoa, look at that. Oh, my giddy auntie. The sky area, the area at the top, don't go into this area here. Try and avoid the chimney pops, because that's what they are. In fact, no, don't. You will hear a lot of me contradicting myself. That's the first example. But there you go, I'm getting a nice heavy spread of water right over the whole area there. You see, and you notice, the first thing you notice is that the paper's not buckling. It's all staying nice and smooth and lovely. It's not buckling. You see, and the beauty of this paper is it's very porous, so it's soaking in. It's going to give you a nice long time to work on this area. But having said that, you're going to be painting very briefly and simply on this area. The vast majority of the time for doing this sky is watching and waiting. Okay, so now we're going to nurture the surface, which means I'm just going to move it around like this. Can you see that? Sort of, yeah, there you are now. So I'm just moving it around. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, it's beautiful. Beautiful, nice and easy and slowly, with loving care. Now I'm going to be doing this for a good couple of 3 minutes. There's a hell of a lot of water, so what I will be doing is every now and again just draining some off, and look at that. Yeah, that's just going around the edge. Now I'm not going to bore you with this for too long, but I will be doing this for a couple of minutes. So we'll be coming back shortly, and I'll be ready to paint, and then I'll get painting. Okay, now, so here we go. I'm now ready to paint my sky. I don't know if you can quite see the glaze there, but you're just still getting a little sort of ridge of water at the edge of the painting. That's sort of just about how you want it. Now we're going to be very, very brief here. Okay, I'm going to use this bigger brush here. I'm going to get my paint onto the palette. Get it onto the palette just before you paint. So we want to work with as fresh paint as possible. It's Judy again walking past, look. It's great working here in the old, what's it called? In the studio here in Voyage. You see the world go past, which is a really lovely thing. Anyway, here we go. Here's my water, you see. A little bit of water, not much. Most of the water you need is already on the surface, okay? So now let's mix. I want this really dark, so look at that, it's a very thick mixture. I want quite a dark, heavy sky here. So let's move that out of the way. Now, for those of you who haven't painted for a while, it's a bit, ooh, but let's just keep it brief. Look at that. Lovely. If you can move that brush as fast as possible, it helps. So here we go. I'm just getting a bit of white now to ruffle up that edge. That across, that's nice, isn't it? Sometimes I even like to be really cheeky and just do this sort of thing. Get straight onto the old malarkey. Move that in. But remember this, you clean your brush every time. You make one visit to the painting from the palette, so the journey is brush to palette, and then a little bit more, and that's probably all I'm going to do. Clean the brush. Yeah, this is me, but I don't particularly like this grainy bit, so the way I'm going to get out of that is get some clean white and just move it in. See that? Nice. Don't be thinking sky when you're doing this, just be thinking nice. Don't fiddle. As soon as you've done that one bit, into the water, clean the brush. Very important, okay? Just get rid of that bit there. Now I'm just going to wait a little bit. I'm going to have a little bit of a statement going on here. This is a statement painting. In fact, it's building up to a very important exhibition I'm doing next year concerning basically the edgelands of urban centres and the connection and disconnection of urban and rural landscapes and such like. Just fancied a bit of dark there. See? Clean the brush. Now with a smaller brush, I'm waiting for it to dry a little more, and I'm going to do some cheeky emissions from these chimney pops, I think I call them. But again, it's just the same technique. So a little bit of water on the brush, okay? Get to the sort of thick paint that you need. Look at that. You see the palette there? It's not going anywhere. It's not running anywhere. That's stodgy paint. That's stodgy paint on my palette. And this is a nice sort of sky. So let's start off with this one. I'm going to come across the top and then wiggle it out. Now that's a bit flat, so I need to clean the brush, make it a bit darker and have it bit darker from there. Now you've got a bit of body in the emission, you see. Look at that, oh my giddy aunt. That is quite something. It's quite dramatic, saying quite a few things. It's a really quite a haunting painting already, really. Clean the brush, come in again with thick, stodgy paint to the top of this tall fella here, and just bring him out. Bring him out, bring him out! There we are, and let's just have it all dark there like that, and then it just goes into the sky, and look at that. That is drama. Now you see, with this area here that we've left light, it's going to really bring out the drama of these two emission sticks. That's another word for chimney pops. They're not actually chimney pops, because chimney pops have the little pops on the top. These don't have the pops, they're just fat, aren't they? Oh, I do apologise. And that bit's ready. So now I just need to wait for all this to dry, okay? And then I'm going to work on this area here. So that will take a while to dry. So I'll just go and do something, make a sarnie or something. Maybe do that. You didn't see that, by the way. I didn't do that. But that looks beautiful, doesn't it? Now we just leave that, okay? Okay, well, now we're back in the, what's it called? I've left this sky for a while for it to dry. Now I'm ready to work on this area here. Don't try and work on this area before this is dried, okay? At least dry down here. If you work on this area, it's just going to dissolve into the sky. Could obviously lead to quite a neat, what's it called? Technique, effect. But on this occasion I want it to be quite flat. So there we go. Now I'm going to put a little wash with my special wash brush with clean water. So let's remove that jar and bring this jar in here, you see. I think it's shoot fruit, it says there. Blissful, it says. Very nice. Anyway, it doesn't have to be in that sort of pot. You can have it in any jar you like. He does talk nonsense, doesn't he? Right, you ready? Just a nice little... Remember, the beauty about doing it this way, I'm doing it sort of sideways. Have you noticed that? I do a lot of sideways painting because I just like this movement more than that. I find this a lot easier to work with than that. Okay, so that's why I work on the side. If it doesn't work for you and you have to see what you're doing, fair enough. But that's how it works for me. So there's just a little wash. Don't really have to let this one soak in so much because we're not working on different levels, as it were. It's just much flatter wash. So put that down. I want it to be slightly lighter at the top. I want it to get really dark at the bottom for maximum impact. It lends heft to the painting. Here's a little example of what I mean. Something like that, you see? All this dark at the bottom. This is the sort of thing we're going for, okay? But only in black and white, with a bit more drama, with a bit more of a statement, because I'm inserting the urban edgelands into the rural landscape, which is something I'm very interested in. So there we are, mixing up on the palette nicely, thick, thick, thick. Look at that. I'm just going to run it across like this, like that, and quite a little sort of shuffle. Then I'm going to clean the brush, go to the water again, clean the brush. I want it really dark at the bottom. Whoa, look at this. So look what I've done. Just come straight from the tube, I hang up, and then just shuffling them across like a good one. Whoa! You can even cheer. It's always good to cheer. Because it loosens you up a bit. Oh, get on. Look at that. It looks like it could be anything. It could be a rough sea, couldn't it? It could be anything. It goes back to my original point of draw it properly. So that's a nice line, a nice angle. Paint it nicely. And that's what I'm doing. I'm painting this nicely. Now I'm going to just to firm up my horizon there, I'm going to clean this brush and go to a smaller brush. Let's see here. Something somewhere in the middle like that. Yeah, which is a number 4. The large one I used was a number 10, I think. Yes, 10. And then my little one that I might use a bit later is a 000. Again, you get these from Picture This, down at the just off the triangle there. So there we are. just getting a little bit of water on. I just want the horizon just be a little darker, just to do that cheeky little thing. So here, I'm working a little bit more exact. So I'm steadying my hand on the area here and just shuffling the brush down on the horizon line like this. Just if you fancy a little bit darker, just go with your, what's it called? There we are, look. Lovely. I'm just going to leave a little bit like that. I've just realised schoolboy error I've made. It's always good when I make schoolboy errors because it shows you that we can all make schoolboy errors. Really, I should have completely waited for this to dry and then done the chimney pops first because they're emerging from behind the landscape. Yeah? So really, they should have been done first. It's no big deal. It's going to work anyway because I'll be able to shuffle some paint over the bottom of the chimney pops anyway. Okay, but what I quite like is another thing. I've run out of black paint or Payne's grey here, so what I was trying to do was dig some up from underneath. Done. Go to your tube, put a little bit on there, just a little bit, you don't need a lot. Just a little bit. Oh look, there's old Lance out there, look. Yeah, Skippy they call him. Skippy, Skippy. There you are, and that sort of, that's quite nice, isn't it? And then maybe that, and so you can just play a little bit. But so that's it. You're just making that area and that area. Now you can see already we've only applied paint to 2 areas of this painting, but in quite a dramatic fashion, very thick. The paint's gone on very, very thick, meaty, muscular. I call it very muscular. So that's really good. And I'm just loving that, and the drama of it all, and the statement of it. Now we're going to probably wait. A lot of people like to use a hairdryer at this point. I don't. I think it's the thin end of the wedge, and I just like saying that, thin end of the wedge, just to dry it off. What I would do, I would move it aside and get on with another painting. Okay, that's what I would do. But now I really have to wait for this to dry completely. Okay, so there we go. Clean the brush. It's at this point you go and make yourself a cup of tea. Or if it's past 6 o'clock, get yourself a G&T or a glass of wine, or whatever your tipple is. That's always good. But I'm loving that. I'm loving the drama of it. Well, there we are, you see. A lovely cup of tea, all drunk nicely. And we're nice and dry here. So now I'm going to go on to the old chimney pops, I call them. But they're not really, are they? They're sort of emission funnels. So there we are. I'm putting a little bit of white on and a little bit of my old Payne's grey. Now I'm going to just treat this area here in exactly the same way as if it were a sky, you know. So there we are. I've got this sort of brush here, this sort of size. It's I think it's a 4. So get a little bit of water on my brush, just a little bit, and just place out a little sort of flimsy wash on there, just a little bit, just to help the paint move along a bit, you know. So now I'm mixing it nicely to get it sort of a nice thick, quite dark grey. I want these to be dark against the sky, but I don't want to do them flat black, otherwise they'll look like a silhouette. That will just look flat and horrible. So there we go. Now I've got the point of the brush going against the edge of the funnel there, look. I'm giving it a bit of a D. Now I'm going to clean the old brush, remember that. I know I keep going on, but that's what we must do. Clean the brush, keep that brush clean at all times. A little bit more dark there, look. Didn't want to come out, there she blows. Whoa, she blows. In we go. Now this is going to be much darker, look at that. See that? Now get it on the edge of the, oh look at that. I'm basically just dropping quite thick paint into a little wash. Now I'm going to come along the top. I want it nice and neat, so I'm going for a smaller brush, alright? So I'm getting in there nice and dark, so as it will have it against the emission. Secure yourself, anchor your hand, because you want to be really steady here. Giving it a little curl across the top, because remember we're below the article. Coming down this way, just going to nurture it down like that. Nurture, 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 nurture. There we are, bringing it down so it's nice and dark at the top, and it's just all this dark paint is just drifting nicely into this slightly lighter paint here. I think that looks swish as a nut, don't you? Come around the bottom, there like that. Oops. I'm just going to bring this, shuffle him along the top of the horizon. Horizon. There we are. Horizon. Look, I've got white paint all on my hand now. That's going to happen a lot. Get it? Get rid. You don't want to be leaning it all over your wonderful work that you've just created here. And that's it. That's that lovely little thing. Now look, if you just want to give it a little bit of something, you might just want to give it a little flash of white there or something. Look at that. It's a money shot. Lovely. Now I'll go into this tall bad boy here. I'm going to make this side of it a little lighter. Again, for the same reason. We don't want it. There's probably brush is a little small there. I'm going to go for this slightly bigger brush. Just like this. I haven't bothered putting a wash on. So there are more two ways to skin a cat, aren't they? This makes it go on a little bit harder. And it's not moving anywhere, but that's fine. Now I'm going to switch him round so as I get the point of my brush on the straight edge again, like I did with old Charlie boy over there. And just the same, just tease it. Oh, look at that. Just tease it along that edge. Tease it along. Tease it along. Come on, baby. Tease it along. A bit black there like that. And just tease him in there. And basically, it's as simple as that. Oh! Swish as a nut. We're going to come back when this is all dry and do a nice little tree here to introduce the rural into the urban edgelands. Okay, so this is where we are now, you see. Very simple, but a hugely dramatic piece of work so far. Very simple, very basic stuff, but just remember, none of it's basic, but none of it's easy. So it's all about practice and rigour. So we'll be going over things in the coming weeks, reiterating stuff, repetition, rigour. It's one of my watchwords, rigour. And that, I don't mean the rigger brush, I mean rigour. Anyway, I'm moving on now. I did say earlier that I was only going to use those three brushes. I lied again. This is what you call a scrubby brush. It's a rubbish old brush. And that's what I want to use to build my tree up. I'm going to put a bit of tree here. So a little bit lower down the line for composition. It's nearer, so it'll look small. It'll look tiny in comparison to these monsters behind. Okay, so just a tiny little bit of water, and I've got completely dry paint here. So what I'm going to do is get a little bit more dark in there, and then just get my scrubby brush with a bit of, so really dark grey, not quite black grey as it were, and then not dab but scrub like this, and so we get that nice feathery edge. You see that? Oh, just feel, oh, wow, look at that, simple as that, don't overdo it. And now you've got the main sort of shape of the tree itself. Now we're going to get in with this tiny brush. Clean this brush, get him out of the picture. Come in with a little 3-0. Dip a little bit of water into the end of him. See, that I didn't clean that brush properly. Very naughty, very naughty. So I'm just cleaning it off a bit on the palette there. And now this is a matter of, I would practice these thin lines a little bit before you get on to doing them for real. Just on a piece of scrap like this, let's say. And so you just want to anchor your hand. I always pull these lines towards me, so I'll probably turn the picture upside down. This is to do the trunk of the tree, okay? There we are, just like that. Look at that, very nice and thin, that's gorgeous. Shove that down there. Get a little bit more water on just to loosen it up a little bit. I'm going to come in here, look, do this towards me. Oh, and there it is, look at that. I did make that look easy. These little lines are not necessarily that easy. But then you've got this sort of beautiful little juxtaposition of somewhere back here is the city. Here we have the urban edgelands moving into rural. That's what my next year's exhibition's all about. Just sort of give it a little plug. It'll be here at Voyage, sorry, Fair Trade. Anyway, one last little bit. This is optional, but this is fun. I like to do a little bit of spattering. Just give it a little bit of, just loosen all this front up a bit. Give it a bit of drama. So get the old Payne's grey out to begin with. Use a brush about this size, I would say, about a 9 or a 10. Get it a little bit wet. Loosen this paint up. Loosen it up, loosen it up. You don't really know what's going to happen here. It's a bit exciting. So then finger out like this, not that way, you'll hurt yourself. You see that I've partitioned this off, then just whack this against his finger here. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Little one, a little one. Just a nice little one. So that tells me I need it to be a bit wetter. Anything could happen. Oh, there, look at that one. Oh! Now I need to come probably this way. It's just loosening up, giving it a bit of... There we are. I do like this sort. Now I'm going to put a sticky one on and hopefully it comes out in a... Oh, look at that one! But I missed. Oh! So aim higher, aim higher. So I'm up here. Oh! Oops, I've left me what's open there. But now what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch tack, clean the brush, and go for some real drama down here. As I say, this is optional. There are people out there who I know, and who I'm mentioning no names, who don't really like doing this at all. Also, do wear a pinny or something, because you will get messy doing this. So that's the white. Now just a little bit of water on there. Just loosen that white up a bit. And this is going to look smart as a carrot, look. Oh, just little bits. Oh, I think it just gives it something. And you can do, you know, as much of this as you want, or, oh! That was a bit much, so come back that way. And it's just giving it some sort of drama, look at that. Eh? It doesn't really depict anything. It was never the idea there, it was just to sort of, you know, give ourselves a little bit of joy in there. But it adds to they are little money shots, you see. I think they're pretty good, they're pretty neat. All that's left to do there, really, you can put a couple of birds in the sky if you want, that's optional again. I might do that later, but basically, sign it, frame it, flog it. So there you go, there endeth the first lesson. I hope you enjoyed. Now, what I would suggest you do, I'll probably mention this at the top of the show, I like to call it a show, would be to watch the film through, all the way through, and then watch it through again and paint bit by bit with me. But watch it through first, and then go through it again. Okay? Lovely to see you. Can't wait to get back. Oh. Of course, I've forgotten the most important part of the whole process. It's taking this sellotape off. You notice I didn't explain that at the beginning. I put the tape round the picture in order to contain it. But the real reason is so that when it's all finished, I should really go and wash my hands now because I want a really clean edge. Find, there's an edge. Get it off like this. Take your time, take your time. Don't rush it. Grow some good nails. Oh, there we are. Now put it away from the, look at that clean edge. Oh, and now we go for the bottom. Bottom one's going to be crisp as a nut. Look at that. Oh, sorry, I'm not in shop there, mate. Oh, screw it up. Put it over here somewhere in a special place. Right there. There we have. Now this one comes to the top. Oh. Oh, and you get this lovely clean edge. Oh, there. And that's the very basic first monochrome picture that we do together. Even these bits are optional. You don't have to put that in. It's going to be just the tree, as in this one here. But you get the idea. Okay, brilliant. Thank you so much.